Alderman Seager. Alderman Seager.
Lost you, Janet. There you go.
Alderman Seager. Unmute, sir.
You're muted, Pat.
Present.
Thank you. Alderman Mosio.
Here.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Present.
Alderman Newsome.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Florio.
Present.
Alderman Taylor.
Present.
Alderman Bolton. Mayor Cunningham.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. For the invocation, will be led by Alderman Taylor. Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, thank you for your continued love and blessings. I ask in the name of the Lord that you bless our fine community and remind us to love and hear each other. Teach us to be kind and loving. You are the creator, Lord. Show us your direction to a kind and caring heart. Lord, guide the leaders in this city to oversee with compassion, empathy, and understanding for each other. Give us the strength and wisdom to oversee with kindness and a loving and open heart. I ask you this in the name of the Lord. Amen.
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 All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag
United
of the
States of
United
America,
States of
to the
America.
republic,
To the
which
republic.
stands
Stands
one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
and justice
for
for
all.
all. Mayor's comments. As you all know, this past weekend was 4th of July. If you did not know, you should have heard it throughout not only the city of Waukegan, probably to the county of Lake. While we missed our own celebration at our beach, it appears that, and I'm going to say everyone, participated in their own celebration. While it is not the way we would have loved it to, or liked it to be, demonstrating our community, I think some of us were a little bit selfish with our celebration, particularly in the late hours, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know that we all have had just an unprecedented of events that has gone on since the beginning of March. But we cannot lose focus of our neighbors and of our community. As we move through, not only this year, but looking at next year, we're probably going to be looking to put some parameters in place that we think would allow all of us to enjoy our 4th of July celebration in all other times. If you were some of those individuals who was not considered of your neighbor, I say take this week, knock on the door, and just do the old-fashioned way that I'm sorry, and find ways that we can all celebrate together. But we will be looking at some ideas of how we can do this in the event we're pushed into this same situation for the following year. For those who adhere to those regulations, we thank you. For those who didn't, we have a little work to do. But I know as Waukeganites, we will push through this together so we can all celebrate the same way for our community. Thank you. With that being said, I'm going to open up with this. While our communities are open, understand COVID-19 is not over. Let's be mindful. social distance, wearing face covers. These are essential things that we must do if we want to continue to move to that next phase. For those who are doing it, and I'm here to tell you the vast majority, overwhelmingly the vast majority of our community is certainly adhering to those guidelines of our CDC, Illinois Department of Public Health, our own Lake County Health Department. If we're ever to achieve some normalcy within our society, more specifically in Waukegan, we simply must continue to do this. Our numbers are still looking good. Our test center is there. We have the walk-up test site in our downtown. We're doing everything humanly possible to get to that next phase. But everybody, we still must understand we're open, but it's not over. As you all know, City Hall operations is here on a limited basis. Please go to our website to see exactly where we're at. Primarily, our first floor is open from our city clerk's office to our records department, to paying your water bill and getting a business license. For our second and third floor with code enforcement is by appointment only, but we are trying to get back to continue to service you in the way you expect our residents, business community, and other business partners. Lake County Partners COVID-19 Release Fund for small businesses and non-for-profits, limited to 2-week application window. Apply now online, which is www.lakecountyil.gov. And again, that's www.lakecountyil.gov. The City of Waukegan Community Development Block Grant Department has its own applications online to distribute as effective July 30th for the CARES Act funding for agencies located on the front page of the city's Waukegan website. If you need utility assistance, on our website under CDBG COVID relief, we have gathered a number of social agencies that can assist you. Once again, go to CDBG COVID relief for social agencies available to assist in utilities relief. That means gas bills, utility bills, or gas bills and electric bills. And if I'm not mistaken, some of them are even handling some water bills. I want to give a huge kudo and pat on the back to 3 people. One is the agencies, our Waukegan Park District. If you have not seen the virtual 4th of July parade, you have missed a treat in creativity of people in Waukegan, Illinois. The city of Waukegan had one, Public Works, Police Department, our city clerk's office, I think Alderman Lynn Florian was there. But what an amazing idea for a 4th of July virtual parade.
They can still see it.
And I'm being told right now by one of the board member, our own city clerk, you can still view it on the Waukegan Park District website. Facebook page. Awesome. But the great part about it, the announcers, we have award-winning Grammy Award or one of those awards. David Motley and Jane Ferry did a fantastic job, everyone. And whenever you see them, and you have to go out and take a look and see how they announced everyone, it was just beautiful. I thank you to Waukegan Park District. Thank you to Jane and David, along with the Public Relations Department at the Waukegan Park District. You're talking about being creative and that Waukegan strong spirit. They did it. So I am very excited to hear that and to be able to witness all of that virtual parade. Never thought that would ever happen, but hey, that was a way to pivot on. I think that's probably going to be something that's going to be lasting for the next years to come, along with our, if possible, our regular parade. Again, I want to close out about our fireworks. To those who had to endure, we certainly apologize. I think our call volume was up so high, but I'm sure that our Waukegan community will take the challenge, knock on that door, and give a good old "I'm sorry." That might mean you have to take out the garbage for a week or whatever, but to your neighbor, but it's okay. That's the Waukegan that I know. With that being said, that's all that I have for right now. Thank you very much. In the mayor's comments. The second is resolutions, proclamations, presentations, and appointments. We have a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Kirkwood, to approve resolution 20-R-46, support of the federal economic stimulus investment in water restoration priorities for Great Lakes and coastal communities. Any questions to the motion? You don't have it in front of you, do you, Janet?
I can read it.
Madam Clerk will be reading the resolution.
Resolution number 20R46, support for federal economic stimulus investments in water restoration priorities for Great Lakes coastal communities. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated the economy of the city of Waukegan with additional expenses and ongoing diminished revenues to state and municipal governments likely to further constrain public services, prolong economic damage, and slow full recovery. And whereas economists, business leaders, and elected officials recognize the need for continued economic stimulus efforts to create jobs, generate long-term economic activity, and accelerate the pace of recovery, particularly in hard-hit cities. And whereas with nearly 1/3 of US and Canadian economic activity centered in the Great Lakes region, its economic recovery can fuel the larger national economic recovery. And whereas investing in water infrastructure is one of the most cost-effective ways to stimulate economic activity, with every job added in the water and wastewater industry projected to create an additional 3.68 jobs in the national economy, and every $1 million in state revolving fund spending generating 2.95 million in economic activity. And whereas the Great Lakes states have identified more than 12 billion in priority water infrastructure projects awaiting funding and ready for implementation in 2020, including at least 39 projects in US coastal communities that require 465 million. And whereas coastal communities across the Great Lakes region are heavily impacted by erosion, flooding, and other effects from high lake levels and extreme weather events. And whereas Great Lakes water levels are at an all-time highs and are projected to persist until the region experiences dry conditions for several years. And whereas climate change is projected to bring more frequent severe storm events, compounding impacts from high water levels, with 100-year storm events already happening every 20 years or so. And whereas coastal communities in the US and Canada experienced more than $500 million in damages over the past year, and US members of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative identified 14 projects requiring approximately $62 million to repair damage from and build resilience to coastal erosion, flooding, and other impacts from high lake levels and climate change. And whereas investments in resilience, mitigation, and ecosystem restorations are estimated to return more than $6 for every $1 spent and create 39 jobs per $1 million spent. And historically, every dollar spent on flood risk management by the Army Corps of Engineers prevented nearly $10 in damages. And whereas the investments outlined above respond to well-documented needs, have broad support, and can be administered quickly through existing programs, and swiftly generate job growth and new economic activity in our city and others across the 8-state Great Lakes region. And now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Cunningham and mayors of City Council of Waukegan, Illinois, do hereby join with more than 100 mayors and other municipal leaders convened by the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative to call for continued action to protect 20% of the world's fresh surface water and the drinking water source for 40 million people. And be it further resolved, the city urges its U.S. senators and congressional representatives to support additional economic stimulus efforts focused on water resource priorities, including $20 billion over the next 2 years for clean water and drinking water state revolving funds and other water infrastructure programs, and $100 million for federal programs that enable states and local communities to safeguard resources and mitigate future damage, flooding, and severe storm events, including the Army Corps of Engineers Ecosystem Restoration Authority, FEMA's Building Restructure and Communities and Flood Hazard Mitigation Programs, and the National Coastal Resilience Fund Resiliency and Habitat Grant Program. Be it finally resolved, the citizens of Waukegan appreciate the federal support to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. And protect our coastal.
Can't hear her.
Looks like she's frozen.
Sorry, you got a glitch on you, Janet.
All right, I'm going to take over. Janet, can you? All right, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any other questions to the motion? All right, there's going to be a roll call.
Can they hear me?
No.
I can call the roll if you'd like me, Mayor.
All right, go ahead, David. Call the roll, David.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
No,
Alderman
David.
Moiseo.
You're David.
Mike did. David, are you?
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried. Thank you, Alderman. Item 3, audience time. We will now turn it over to Public Relations Director, Mr. David Motley, to read the comments that came in prior to 4 o'clock, or at 4 o'clock, prior to or at 4 o'clock, to our Waukegan City Clerk's office. Mr. Motley.
Okay, good evening. There are 4 comments this evening. The first was received on Monday, June 15th at 4:01 p.m. from Carl Luce. Dear City Clerk Kilkelly, the City of Waukegan City Council unanimously approved an update to the comprehensive plan for Waukegan, which covers the property listed as the Jabeda subdivision. As an officer of one of the HOAs that participated with the city in the preparation of the update to the comprehensive plan, the HOA has asked that we contact the city and request that this item be held over until the zoning proposal can be further and appropriate consideration. Of particular concern is access to River Road by vehicles. Thank you for your consideration of our request. Sincerely, Carl Luce, President, Nickels and Dimes Homeowners Association. The second was received on Monday, June 15th at 4:11 p.m. from Margaret Carrasco. June 15, 2020, from Margaret Carrasco. 1, Mayor, why did you change the day and time of council meetings? 2, Mayor, why haven't you arrested the remaining looters? You know who they are and have the evidence, or is this part of the plan? 3, Mayor, isn't legal counsel supposed to be pro bono for library meetings? 2, Mayor, you removed 2 library board members for using profanity, but you are disrespectful to Alderman Taylor and Florian and scream the F word to female employees. Therefore, you should be removed too. 3, every city council and committee meeting after March 16th has been a violation of the Open Meetings Act. All decisions made are invalid. 4, 7th Ward, 9th Ward, and 1st residents, watch out. Sam is trying to slip his corrupt deals tonight without notifying residents. Please see attached city sign posted backwards about the marijuana joint he wants to put across Fernlem Bowen Park. Aye. Number 3 was received on July 6th, 2020. Robert Ethan Saylor, a 26-year-old man with Down syndrome, went to see the movie Zero Dark 30. When it was over, Saylor briefly left the theater, then decided to return and see it again. The manager called security because Saylor didn't pay, and 3 off-duty deputies moonlighting at the mall came to confront him. According to Frederick County, Maryland, police statements, he swore at them and refused to leave. The deputies tried to remove him despite Saylor's caretaker's warnings and pleas for them to wait and let her take care of it. What happened next is a little unclear, but witnesses say the deputies put Saylor on the floor, held him down, and handcuffed him. Saylor called Ethan by his family, suffered a fracture in his throat cartilage. He died of asphyxiation. The death was ruled a homicide, but a grand jury failed to indict the deputies and they returned to work without charges. There must be a pragmatic solution that will support those of us that are having urgent medical or psychological crises that will not dissolve into death. As a parent of a son who has autism and cerebral palsy, the brutality that police have exhibited towards those of us who may be different is gravely concerning. Looking at the city of Waukegan's proposed budget for the police department to be at $37,344,400 for the fiscal year of 2021, I have some suggestions in utilizing that massive amount that will help build community trust and support. There is a solution, a blueprint that Waukegan can refer to, and that is the CAHOOTS model, which stands for Crisis Assistance Helping Out on the Streets, implemented 30 years ago in Eugene, Oregon. Police can be overwhelmed responding to issues that don't concern law enforcement and people who don't pose a threat to anyone other than themselves. This includes mental health emergencies, issues around homelessness, and issues around addiction. The program goes beyond being altruistic. It's cost effective. They take up a little more than 1% of the EDP budget but respond to around 17% of the calls they receive. The group estimates it's saved $6 million in medical services costs alone. Administrative coordinator Ben Brubaker isn't that worried other cities will need 30 years to achieve similar success. He said they've tested and the 4th was received on July 6th, 2020 at 3:45 p.m. from Colin Byers. Hello, City Council. On July 2nd at 11:32 a.m., posted to the mayor's Facebook was a video. In the video, Mayor Cunningham states, "We will need to practice our social distancing of 6 feet." Ironically, He states this while standing less than 2 feet from someone translating with a mask hanging off the side of her face, and Clerk Kelly while wearing a mask no less than 2 feet from him. Also, the mayor then says, and wearing our face covers while pulling his out of his pocket to show the camera and then tucking it back into his pocket again. With leadership giving examples like this, it's no wonder some people feel free to disregard mask and distancing directives in businesses across the city, putting others at risk. Another question I have is what the reasoning for the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. beach hours? What valid reason is there to keep people from enjoying the beach sunrise to sunset? Congratulations to the adaptation of the Shoebox 4th Parade. That was clever, safe, and creative. Colin Byers. And that concludes audience time for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those who submitted. Thank you, Mr. Motley. For those who submitted, we're always looking to hear back from the residents of our community. Next, item 4. Motion by Alderman Mozio. Second by Alderman Seeger to approve the consent agenda. Items 4A and 4A through 4N. Are there any questions to the motion?
Yes, Mayor, Alderman Turner here. I'd like to, I don't have the agenda in front of me. I don't know what I did with my printout. But anyway, the one that refers to the bill run for vendor payments, I'd like to pull that out for discussion, please.
Item E.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor by Alderman Mozio, second by Alderman Seeger. The items of 4A through D and F through N. Any other questions to the motion? I'll read the motions. Motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from Monday, June 15, 2020. Item B, ordinance ratifying and extending mayoral declaration of emergency, ratifying and extending certain mayoral emergency orders. Item C, motion to approve a second amendment to license agreement between the city of Waukegan, Lake County for parking at the parking garage located at 225 North County Street. Item D, motion to approve and authorize the mayor to execute the right of entry agreement with the United States government and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at the Waukegan Harbor. Item F, motion to approve regular payroll dated June 19, 2020, in total amount of $1,719,329 and $329.13. Item G, motion to approve elected official civil service stipend payroll dated June 19, 2020, total amount of $6,866.66. Item H, motion to approve fiscal year end sick payout, name listed on the agenda, dated June 19, 2020, in a total amount of $354.17. Item I, motion to approve local 150 uniform allowance payroll, names listed on the agenda, dated June 19, 2020, in a total amount of $180. Item J, motion to approve PBLC holiday buyback payroll dated June 19, 2020, in a total amount of $1,252.96. Item K, motion to approve retroactive payroll, names listed on the agenda, dated June 19, 2020, in a total amount of $19.20. Item L, motion to approve payroll dated July the 3rd, 2020, in a total amount of $1,578,324.27. Item M, motion to approve final payout, names listed on the agenda, dated July 3rd, 2020, in a total amount of $4,715.59. Item M, motion to approve all raffle permits. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Item E, motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Mozio. Motion to approve vendor payments dated July 6, 2020 in a total amount of $2,752,208.61. Other questions to the motion?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Taylor. I'm sorry, Alderman Turner. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you, Mayor. On page 1 of that bill, we're on line item 485861 for Jennifer Witherspoon, expensing laptops, excuse me, laptops and a printer for $1,429.97. I kind of like an explanation on that one, because that printers and laptops and printers, those will be capital expenditures, right? So we don't expense capital items. And as I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Witherspoon is a contract attorney that's providing specific legal services to the city. I don't know that, I've never heard of us providing attorneys laptops and or computing equipment, printers and such. So I'd like an explanation of that one if possible.
Okay, I'll get that for you, sir. I don't have it right now, but I can get that for you.
Okay, so let's hold that one out and over till next meeting for payment. For
No, sir, we're not going to hold them over. I'll get you the explanation. You get,
Mayor,
oh,
I
I'm
think-
sorry. Hold on a second, Janet. City Clerk Kelly can get you the explanation right now. City Clerk.
Great, thank you.
That is an expense that is submitted to us on behalf of the Witherspoon, and that is not a city asset. Tina, did you want to explain any more to that? In your motion last year to approve Ms. Witherspoon, she had a base rate, but she also had an additional $7,000 on expenses as well. Expenses are, submitted by them over the course of the year.
Right.
Right. And as far as capital, the city of Waukegan, we only capitalize assets with a single value of $25,000 or more.
Mm-hmm.
So computers, unless it's one of our servers or something that would exceed that 25,000, that would not be something that we would capitalize.
Right.
So that would be run through as an operating expense. But to Clerk Hill Kelly's point, the contract that was approved by City Council did include certain out-of-pocket expenses to enable them to respond to FOIAs, do things like redacting, in particular police-related FOIA responses. So there was a not to exceed amount. It didn't detail specifically what those would be. So I do believe Clerk Hill Kelly does review those invoices, but that is currently within the amount that was approved for the year.
Alderman Turner.
I'll acquiesce to Alderman Taylor. Looks like she's
Alderman Taylor.
So do we actually own those computers then? So like if her contract was not renewed, those are the city's computers then, or do they belong to her?
No, she's being reimbursed for those per the contract terms. So they are hers. They are not a city asset.
Why are we paying for them?
Yeah.
When the contract was approved by City Council, it included a not to exceed out-of-pocket amount. It didn't specify what would or would not be included with that. I'll defer to Clerk Hill Kelly on that. She's the one that reviews the invoices, but that type of specification was not made in the council motion.
So she could buy anything she wants. She could buy a vehicle, go buy a new car for $7,000 or.
No, sir. Guys.
How do we define what's a reasonable and customary expense?
All right. Why don't we do this? Since we have that, you brought that up, Alderman Turner. We will make sure in the next contract that we specify what is needed to do their jobs on behalf of the city of Waukegan, so we don't go through this. But I'm here to tell you, Madam Clerk, myself, or Tina will never approve a car or anything like that. I mean, let's be within reason. These are things as necessary in order to do the work of the city of Waukegan.
And attorneys do incur expense. I mean, Bob, you can chime in here too. I mean, we pay expenses on their contract as well.
So if we need to provide her a laptop, 2 laptops and a printer, why wouldn't we provide that to her from our IT department? and just say, here's your laptop. This is what you need to do your job that we hired you to do. And when you're done doing your job, you give us back our laptop. Wow.
It's an option.
Buy
Alderman
a
Turner,
laptop.
these are good options. Let's review those options as we move forward, sir. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
I think that's wrong. That I don't think we should be buying computer equipment for an attorney.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Turner. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Ozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
No.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion's passed and carried.
All right.
Item 5.
I have another line item, Mayor.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, go ahead, sir.
On page 5, line, it's number 0800. Or correction, it's 485-795 for the Chicago Tribune. This is for legal notices for the planning department, $579.43. And I just kind of curious why we're putting legal notices in the Chicago Tribune as opposed to the Lake County News Sun, which is our local paper. And if we're doing legal notices, I would think that's where they would go. Is there-
Alderman, let me answer that. Alderman, the Chicago Tribune owns Lake County. That's the billing cycle, sir.
Correct.
Chicago Tribune owns the
Yes,
Lake County Sun.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Very good. Thank you.
And this is just go for everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, really, I think if we called and asked these questions prior to, we'll get all of these questions answered for you. It appears sometimes that like we're trying to hide something from you. It is not. And I know a lot of this could be,
Nope.
a lot of this is sometimes it comes jumbled to you, but a lot of this could be handled way before you get here. And it is simple. And I agree with you. There's a lot of information to download.
So
But
Mayor, when I ask these questions, it's not like a gotcha or something.
No, I get that.
It's just that I want the information, and this is a meeting. This is where we are to discuss these things, and that's why they're on the agenda for discussion. So if I have a question, it's just that. It's a question. You provide me a very simple, direct answer, and I'm satisfied.
I'm not telling you
me asking questions.
No, sir, believe me. I was an alderman 18 years, Alderman Turner. So asking questions is not an issue to me. But I think there's some things that of these magnitudes that I think we all can get shared information on prior to, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, it may not appear that it's a gotcha, but understand everyone doesn't know what you know, and it may come out as being that way. So I like to always present that we're all on the same page versus bringing out, a $79 purchase of Lake County. And again,
$179.
I am the first person to say, ask any question that you may have. The more questions that are asked, and going back to Larry Tempest, the more eyes, the more ears are in the room, the better off we come.
Right.
And that's all. So it's not that it's a got you. I just think sometimes some of these smaller items can be addressed prior to. I know Alderman Florian does a great job with that, asking, getting them in, and it really helps the process as we move through our council meeting. But I do appreciate you doing that. I think it is part of all of our responsibilities. Heck, I ask questions. So it's not that I don't appreciate it. I just think sometimes it can be better served in a different capacity, such as this one up here. But needless to say, we got the answer. We're moving on. That's the Waukegan way. Are we finished there? We voted on it already. Was there anything else you had, Alderman Turner?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Community Development Committee. Alderman Moiseo, right?
You got it, Mayor.
Alderman Moiseo.
Hold on, I got to pull up. There was an amendment to this from this on our agenda. It's not correct, so I'll read the amended motion. Motion to pass out of committee a request by the petitioner Actually, I don't think we even need to read this because we already passed it in committee. It's not gonna be ready till the next council meeting, Mayor, so we don't even have to read that. That's,
Okay, we're gonna push this over to the actual council meeting, next council meeting, correct, Alderman Mozio?
Right, it was just to draft an ordinance, so the ordinance will be on the next, city council, so we can move on from there.
Okay, then, everybody, item 6A will appear on the next city councilman's agenda. It was just put on here. It was supposed to be in committee, so it'll be on the next council meeting. That's where we're at with that. All right, thank you, Alderman Mozio. Oh, item 7, Government Operation Oversight Committee. Alderman Mozio, that's you again, isn't it?
Taylor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Taylor, I apologize. Alderman Taylor,
A motion authorizing the proper city officials to settle police department workman's compensation claim 201-503-05001 for a total of $163,327.23. And I so say, no.
moved by, I'm sorry, Alderman Taylor, motion by Alderman Tager, second by Alderman Seeger, correction, Alderman Newsome, to authorize proper city official to settle police department workers' compensation claim 201-503-05001 for the total amount of $163,327.23. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio. Alderman Mozio,
I'm sorry, I was asleep on the
Al-
mute.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner. Alderman Turner,
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor. Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. I just want to give a huge thank you to Katie and our legal team for moving a lot of these old claims. I think this one has been around for about 4 years, everybody. And we have about 2 or 3 more that we're trying to move off to get them settled. These are very difficult ones. They're long lasting, but to get these off of our books and then been able to make sure we have available, get onto that police list. So good job on Katie's end over there. Item 8, old business. There's a motion by Alderman Taylor, second by Alderman Kirkwood, to approve zoning calendar 2605, preliminary and final plat of Jabata subdivision 294 Heelan Road. Any questions to the motion? Alderman Taylor.
I just want to explain, I held this over last time because I was not aware of it until it came to planning and zoning, and 3 days later came to council. So there were some questions by the HOAs on River Road. So they have met with the Pritzker Estate people, their representatives, and all the questions have been answered and everybody is fine in approving it. So I just wanted to put that out there so that people knew why I held it over and what has happened since that time.
Awesome,
Okay.
good job. And great putting that together. Any other questions to the motion? The roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio. Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
No.
No, Alderman Mozio, this is community development, correct?
which one is that, Your Honor?
On item 9,
Yeah, A?
all,
I don't know that
new business. All of this is new business.
I can read them if you want me to, sure.
No.
But I mean, I don't remember us going over it, doing any of this. No,
Oh.
not,
Thought you were gonna do them, Mayor.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I am. Yeah, one by one. You're right, Alderman. I apologize, ma'am.
all right.
Okay. This is item 9A. Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Mozio, to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Maximum Healthcare Services for medical screening services at City Hall effective June 25th, 2020 to December 31st, 2020 for an amount not to exceed $110,000, and further to authorize an exemption to the competitive bidding process pursuant to section 2-458, parentheses I, parentheses 4, professional services. Any questions to the motion? We got a question by Alderman Florian, and then next by Alderman Rivera. Alderman Florian.
I'm assuming this is for COVID screening. Is that what this is for?
Yes. Katie, are you on the phone? Yes, Katie is on the line. Katie, go ahead and plead.
Sorry, I was unmuting. This is for COVID screenings for employees and public entering the building, City Hall.
Okay. Alderman
And-
Florian.
And why are we exempting the competitive bidding process?
There was a memo attached that explained that there multiple estimates or quotes were obtained. This is the lowest that met the criteria of the City Hall staff.
Okay.
I can jump into if you want.
All right, go ahead, Tina.
There is an exemption under city code for professional services. So things like lawyers, architects, medical professional, those types of things. So that is the exemption that is actually the Corp Counsel, Mr. Durando, had felt was appropriate to apply to this particular contract. But Ms. Dibble did solicit 3 quotes. So it did not go out on public bid, but she did solicit quotes. But it's the professional services exemption that Corp Counsel signed off on.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see the other information and I didn't ask any questions about this ahead of time. So were the other bids near the same price?
There was one that was a little bit lower, but they were not medical professionals. It was just a temp agency. Maxim offers us CNAs, EMTs, or medical assistants for the rate that we're getting.
Okay, and they're basically going to do temperature screenings?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Alderman Rivera.
All my questions were just answered. Thank you very much.
No
Oh,
problem.
two for one. Thank you. Alderman Turner.
Yes, thanks. So as I understand it, then anyone that enters into City Hall is being tested?
Screened, yes. Their temperature is taken as part of the screening process.
Okay, so is that like, so if I go in there and I let them take my temperature and then I leave and I come back, maybe it's an employee that has to go in and out. Are they tested every time they go in, or is it once a day? How often are they being tested?
Every entry to City Hall requires the screening process.
Okay. And how long do we anticipate this continuing?
Through the end of the calendar year thus far.
Dear Lord. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Florian.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I just realized I wanted to ask too, with the temperature screening, 50% of the people don't have any symptoms. So I'm curious really what the temperature screening accomplishes in the long run. Because it doesn't mean you don't have a sickness if you don't have a fever, is my point.
I can answer that question a little bit.
You can't get into any doctor's office, okay, that I know of without a temperature screening. Here or in Florida, they don't let you in. You have to go through a special process. If you don't want to do that, I don't know what you do, but okay, that's getting to be the standard. And I'm glad to see that it's the standard at City Hall.
Right, but I'm guessing, my question is, what is it accomplishing? If half the people are gonna be sick without a fever, what are we proving by taking their temperature?
Well, Alderman, what aren't we proving if we don't take the temperature when everybody else is doing it? This is the guidelines that has been presented to us by the CDC, Illinois Department of Public Health, our own Lake County Health Department. We're not experts. We're only going by the guidelines that are given by the healthcare professionals. I wish there were other things to guarantee that people do not have a COVID-19. We don't. So we're utilizing the tools that have been given to us in order to achieve some sort. I can't say it's going to be perfect, but some sort of comfort that those who are entering into this building are not only bringing the COVID-19 virus to the building, to our employees. This is all we have to go on. I guess the question will be, is there anything else out there that you may know of that we can then utilize in order to help us to make sure that those are not bringing in the virus into the building?
Well, wearing a mask is the best
Yeah.
defense and offense you have, so
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully
and-
that's gonna
and-
be required.
Well, it's not hopefully, those are the requirements. The requirements is you must get tested. Now, Katie, there's a couple of questions that are asked as well. And I think have you been around? Katie, help me. I don't want to try to paraphrase that.
No, our screening process is temperature and symptom check. And we utilize the current CDC guideline flyer about the symptoms, and then the screeners go through and ask if they have any of these symptoms. They take a temperature before they're allowed to enter into the rest of the building.
Yeah, so that's what. All right, Alderman Turner. Thank you, Alderman Florian. Alderman Turner.
So is this the case too for all city facilities or only City Hall? I mean, if I walk into the front desk at the police department for a police report or something, or if I have to go up to the public works department at City Yards, if I have to go to animal control to pick up my dog, am I going to be tested at every facility or is it just City Hall?
The program that's the part of the reopening phase is for testing throughout. So if you were to go to Fire Station 1, upon entry, you would be screened. Our problem is that City Hall houses multiple departments in one building, and there's just not enough ability to do the screening services in-house while maintaining our city services as expected.
So every city facility will test any member of the public that enters.
No.
Let's make sure we get the words right. It's a screening, not a test.
Testing. They're testing for your temperature, Greg. So is it every facility or just one?
No, right now it's City Hall.
Just to see if you have a fever, see if you have the symptoms. A test would actually tell you whether you have the virus or not. So we're not testing. This is just a screening. The only screening that I know of the CDC right now is is temperature. They don't have another way to screen. It's just is it rudimentary? Is it sort of probably not very accurate at times? Absolutely. But everything else we don't know. If I come in there to get a building permit or I have to come to City Hall, I can't get a test and come back in 3 days. I may have something.
So if I got to go get my dog out of the animal control, do I have to get a screening? If I want to go into the police department and ask for a copy of a police report, do I have to get a screening? My question is it only at City Hall or is it at all city facilities?
Right now, sir, this process is at City Hall. If you go to the police department, as you know, in the police department, they're not entering the entire facility, and there is a window, something dividing it. If you go to Public Works, typically you're going to call for an appointment. Same thing with animal shelter at this point in time. This is an evolving process for all of us. And again, if you take a look at it, is limited opening of City Hall. That's what it is. So hopefully it answers your question. Well, any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Motion passed to carry. Item 9B, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mozio to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Stuckey Construction for the police interior renovation for an amount not to exceed $378,000, and further to authorize the waiver of the lowest bidder requirement pursuant to section 2-461 City of Waukegan Business Program. The project will be funded from 2018 general obligation bond funds. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Wait, questions?
All
Yeah,
right, I got to, I don't know who was first, so the first
Alderman
person I
Rivera.
saw.
Ladies
Alderman
first.
Rivera. Okay,
Ladies.
Alderman Taylor, then Alderman Rivera. Alderman Taylor.
My question is, I know this is a tier 2 local company, but with a difference of what, $16,500, that's a lot of money that we could use on other things. So my recommendation would be to certainly consider the lowest bidder on this.
Katie, can you answer that question for us, please?
I thought.
Tier 2 is an option, and we have lowest bidder. This is entirely up to the alderman, and maybe Bob can explain this a little bit better than I can.
All right. Okay.
We haven't had a lot of these up yet because the ordinance was only amended, I think 7-8 months ago, something like that. So this is really the first one of any size. It's a factor for you to consider, and you can consider the fact that it is a tier 2 bid and it has gives certain advantages to the community. That's why it's designed for you to consider it in this fashion, for you to reach and utilize your discretion. You don't have to accept the lowest bid. You don't have to accept the tier 2 bid. This is entirely the discretion of the council.
Alderman Rivera.
My question was very similar. I mean, we seem to be, you know, the other one was the waiver of the competitive bidding process, and then this one also waiving the lowest bidder requirement. Now, I understand Stuckey is local, and we're doing it to help local businesses.
Yes,
but as Alderman Taylor indicated, 16,000 is 16,000. Now, the bidder that came in 16,000 less, they're similarly as qualified as the one that we're trying to authorize or to vote in right now, correct? Hey, yeah, I think that's probably correct.
Yeah, they met all the qualifications. This bid waiver requirement, I just wanted to point out, is a little different than the first item that was under new business. This is a separate section of the city code that was added by city council to allow for DBE or local businesses to be within 5% of the lowest. So it is a different section of the city code, but yes, the low bid as well as Stuckey they're equally qualified.
Mr. Mayor, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
In order to accept the tier 2 bid, you have to have a 2/3 majority vote. That's one of the protections that's built in for the protection of the public purse.
Sorry, Bob, I didn't hear that. You have to have which?
You have to have a 2/3 majority vote of the city council. So it takes 6 votes.
Everybody, we have argued, debated way before a lot of us got here, and now. I am a local guy, period. Stuckey's been around this community over 30-some years. He's done work within our city government, within our city hall, in the police department. Here's an opportunity for us to move forward and give homage to something right here in Waukegan. And he knows the deal. So that is the reason we put it in there is now it's been the reason we're not going to accept it, or we haven't questioned about it. But
I think if I can comment,
sure.
When Bob, you said this was put in what 6-7 months ago?
Yeah, this is the first of any significant size that's. come
Okay.
before us.
Well, 6 or 7 months ago, pre-COVID, when we didn't have, the financial burden that we're going to have coming to us, again, I would be pretty much all for it. But 16,000 is 16,000. I mean, I understand.
Rivera, I hear you loud and clear. But let me tell you something. When I was on council floor, we used to give bids away to people outside of this community where those dollars never came back. Never came back.
It's not our responsibility to.
It is our responsibility, Alderman.
Into local business.
Yes, it is our responsibility, Alderman.
Our responsibility is to be traditionally responsible for the taxpayers' dollars. My neighbors pay taxes, and
thank you, Alderman. Alderman Mosio.
A good return on their tax dollars, and you're giving away $16,000 just because.
Alderman Mosio.
I understand everybody's point, but maybe one of the reasons this was put in there is to help out local people. We come out of this post-COVID, and people like Stuckey don't get any business. He shuts his doors. You got a vacant building and not paying any property taxes. So in 4 years, $16,000 becomes a different point. So the long game is that's why there's some discretion and some things like this built into ordinances like this, because in the long game, if you don't help out the local people and you have a bunch of buildings in your town that are shuttered up and vacant, you're not getting anything out of them anyway.
I agree.
So that, again, this is why, and I get the $16,000, I get it, especially coming out of this, but if we don't help out the local guys in any way we can, they're going to close up shop and not be around, and then what do you have?
You ask for a discount?
Alderman Turner, make the motion to reconsider. Make the motion to reconsider. Alderman Taylor.
I just called for the question, voted. If it goes down, we'll go from there.
Okay, roll call, please.
Who made the motion?
It was a motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Mosio.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
No.
Alderman Rivera.
No.
Alderman Florian.
Oh.
No.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
So we need to get this done, correct, Katie?
Yes, sir. I need,
all right, well,
I need
there's
an answer.
Hold on, there's a tied vote. I got to vote. My motion is aye.
What's the tie?
All right, I broke the tie. The motion is aye.
There is no tie.
It is.
2/3.
It's 9 aldermen.
2/3.
Majority, Mayor.
I understand that. There was a 4-4 vote. I'm just voting aye. We still need a 2/3 in order to pass the motion. But on the record, as a 5-4 vote, it still did not meet the 2/3. So Alderman Turner, do you want to make the motion to because we must do this project. There's no question the project has to be done.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reconsider then. Thank you.
Make the motion. Motion by Alderman Taylor, second. Motion by Alderman Turner, second. Second by Alderman who? Rivera. Rivera.
What do you guys want?
What do you guys want now?
To reconsider.
Which company do you guys want now?
The one with the lowest bid.
Max.
That would be MAG Construction, MAG Construction.
Now, understand, Katie, when you and I talked about this, they bid it a little bit different, correct? Was this the one with that he when he bid it, or we threw that one?
We threw that one out.
We threw that one out. Okay.
Correct. There was a bid irregularity, and that one was tossed.
Okay.
This would be the lowest qualified bidder.
Okay, I want to make sure. All right then. So we got a motion by Alderman Turner, second by Alderman Rivera to reconsider. And what name are we reconsidering, gentlemen? I mean, everybody. Alderman Turner.
Whoever put in the lowest bid. I want
the name Alderman Turner, so we'll get it right. This is your motion, sir.
MAG, M-A-G.
MAGA. There's a motion to reconsider. the police station interior renovation for an amount not to exceed $378,000 and further authorize, I'm sorry?
May I respectfully ask that then the not to exceed amount be revised to the MAG construction bid amount 361,495?
Okay, then. All right, repeat that again. 361
495.
495.
Thank you, Tina. I was about to do that myself.
All right, thank you. There's a motion by Alderman Turner, second by Alderman Rivera to reconsider, to authorize the mayor to execute a reconsider to MAG construction?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
MAG construction for police station interior renovation for an amount not to exceed $361,495. And to the lowest qualified bidder pursuant to section, that's not the section. Yeah, that's it. The project will be funded out of 2018 general obligation bond funds. Bob, am I on point with that one? I was kind of scrambled.
That part's correct. Yeah, you got it.
So the dollar amount is $361,495, and the new lowest qualified bidder is MAG Construction. Is that correct? All
I
right.
think Alderman Newsom has a question.
Yes, and
I
there's
have
a
a
motion.
question.
There's a
Okay.
motion on the floor.
Right.
A motion, a person, a second. Is a questions to the motion. Alderman Newsom.
Now we have the lowest qualified bidder is 361,495. Now, hopefully they don't come back for additional funds because they can't do it at this lowest bid.
Right.
So what are we going to
I need a
Then-
change order. I need a
Then
change
what are we
order.
going to do? Hopefully we won't have to get up to the $16,000 that we're giving outside of the community when we could have gave it to someone in the community. I'm just throwing that up, you know.
But that's a risk with anybody.
Correct.
But Stuckey has been working for the city for many years.
He's had a lot of money from the city, right, already?
Well, I know some employees that live here in the city as well.
Me
That
too.
work there, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are Waukegan residents, man. So you guys haven't fought long enough
All right.
to understand that
need to take
these
care of our
small
own.
businesses, we need to take care of our own. I got Alderman Florian. I'm a fan of that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I am a fan
All right.
of taking care of Waukegan residents. These
Is there
businesses
any-
here, go ahead, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Is there
Go
any way we can ask Stuckey to meet this price?
No, you
we
can't
can't
do
do
that.
that.
Can't
We don't want to
legally
do
do
that. You don't want to do that,
Close
ma'am.
bids.
Can't do that. Not with closed.
No, that
bids.
violates state law.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. It is what it is. Hey, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. I understand. But I have always will continue to be for those who commit themselves to Waukegan, Illinois. Period. All right, there's a motion on the floor and a second. Let's get a roll call.
Alderman Seager,
Hey, I'm voting this down because I think it's only fair to a local business that has been here for years. I'm not for this.
Alderman Mozio,
No.
Alderman Kirkwood,
No.
Alderman Newsom,
No,
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
44, sir.
All right, call my name.
Mayor Cunningham.
I vote no. I'm going to hold this matter over until the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Mozio to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Cavanta Environmental Solutions LLC for the annual electric pumping for the amount not to exceed $50,000 for the fiscal year 2020, 2021, and $55,125 for fiscal year 2021, 2022, and further to authorize an exemption to the competitive bidding process pursuant to section 2-458, parentheses 1, parentheses I, parentheses 1, sole source. What that means, ladies and gentlemen, this is the only one. Sole source means they're the only one who does this. The project will be funded from water and sewer revenue bonds. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Motion D, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mosel, authorize the mayor to execute an agreement between G&S, the lowest responsible bidder for mowing services for 2020-2021 fiscal year as follow: $20,600, 6-week mowing, $30,000 cemeteries mowing, $37,000 biweekly mowing, and $50,500 weekly mowing, and further to authorize a good faith waiver bid per section 2-457, parentheses I, parentheses 7, to permit the mayor to execute an agreement with GNS to provide municipal beach garbage removal and cleanup for up to 7 days per week during the 2020 beach season for a price to be determined and provided to City Council no later than July 6th. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please. I'm sorry. We have Alderman Newsome.
The question I have is, what portion is going to be, we're supposed to have a price for the beach cleanup. Did we get that price?
Yes, it's $2,800. Hold on, let me
I think, yeah, was it?
stand by. We got it late on Thursday.
I think it was 25, Tina. I think.
Is Mr. Hewitt still on the line? I think he's the one that received it.
I'm here, but Pat Needham was the one that worked on that, so.
Mr. Mayor.
I think it was, I thought it was 25,000.
They gave us a weekly quote.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's $2,800 per week. $1,800 per week. That would be for 7 days.
Per week?
Wow. Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We were receiving several calls, emails, Facebook postings that the city of Waukegan is not cleaning up the beach on a daily basis. We have public work that goes down there every morning to empty garbage cans. Unfortunately, by the volume that we had, I'm pretty sure Alderman Rivera can attest, the volume that we had down at that beach, it was just too much. It's too much. So we got to get somebody down there on a daily basis. Alderman Mozio. I'm sorry, it was not Alderman Mozio can attest, not Alderman Rivera. I apologize, Alderman Rivera. Alderman Mozio.
The beach is packed. I've been down there. My kids go down there. It's packed. There's nothing else to do. It's packed. It needs to be picked up every day.
Yeah, and it does.
Packed. You got to pick up your own house. You can't leave. I mean, how can we write code enforcement tickets to somebody whose house is a disaster when our own house is a disaster and we won't pick it up? A little hypocritical, isn't it?
Yeah, and I will say this, Alderman Taylor, I'll get you next. As you know, in the last 3 years, we've had the beach rangers helping doing some of this. Unfortunately, this year, we did not have them. And, but the amount of people that are there did not decrease, it increased. Alderman Taylor.
See an address on this. Are they a local company?
GNS?
Yeah.
No.
They're Beach Park, but most of the workers, most of the workers are live in Waukegan.
Actually, they are a local company. They're at the old Hostess place on Lewis Avenue. That's where their business is at.
Okay, good.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, the old Hostess Bread Company right there in the 5th Ward. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Public Works cleaned it up.
Alderman, Public Works have been cleaning it up, Alderman.
Yes.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but afterwards, they go home.
Right.
They don't have the manpower.
No, we just don't.
Well,
Plus the amount of overtime as well.
I'm sorry, sir?
Lack of manpower. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, let me say, we sold Alderman Kirkwood.
Okay, I was down on the beach today and they were down Public Works was down there today picking up the garbage. And as Alderman Mosio stated, it was packed at 2:00. I mean, and they had made 2 runs already. Now, my only question is that we're talking about paying $2,800 per week. Is that correct, Tina?
Yes, that's a 7-day quote. So that would include Saturdays and Sundays.
7 days.
Oh, 7 days.
Correct. It would be the 7 from the written quote that I have that I'm looking at. It would be a 7-day per week quote. And I believe it would be after normal business hours. So it would be after our public works employees Monday through Friday.
Oh.
Okay. So then in terms of, Public Works is there during the day, so they will not be picking up during the time that Public Works is there?
I believe that's going to be between Pat Needham and Mike Hewitt to coordinate, and they'll probably do it, based on what they see the need to be, but this would be to augment Public Works.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to bring those in, and Pat Needham and them will work out. If they need them, they call them. If they don't, typically what happens in the morning, we dump the trash cans. The challenge that we're having here, and Alderman Mosio can, it is the garbage that's with it throughout the beach. That's not, Public Works doesn't do that. So that's what we're having, but it's going to be well worth it. This is the same company, as you guys know, that handles the scoop the loop doing the trash pickup. So they do a great job. We got Alderman Florian, then we're gonna call roll call. Alderman Florian.
Is this gonna come out of Public Works budget?
No, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
All beach expenses are actually under the community service division in the police department. It's the same cost center that neighborhood policing is in. Mm-hmm. That's where the beach expenses come out of, is PD.
The question is, was that amount budgeted for them? But listen, the people are asking for it to happen, and that's where we're at. And that's just fine. Whether it come out of the police budget, Public Works budget, the people are asking for it to happen. This beach here is the hottest beach on the North Shore. We got to get it done. Alderman Kirkwood, then roll call, please. Alderman Kirkwood.
And I agree, Mayor, because like I said, I was down there not only today, but on the weekend, and it's packed. I mean, at 2:00, it was packed, and we got to keep it clean. People are there, and it's certainly a destination spot for not only the Waukegan residents, but people outside of Waukegan. So we need to make sure that beach is clean. It's certainly a part of my ward, but I want it clean for people to come and see that the city of Waukegan has something to go to. People can relax. If you go down there, you'll see that with this weather that we have, there's got to be a place for people to go to.
I agree. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Item E, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mosio to authorize the mayor to execute agreement with Action Fence, lowest responsible bidder for the fencing replacement installation at Oakwood Cemetery Steiner Pavilion for an amount not to exceed $106,030. This project will be funded out of 2018 joint obligation bonds. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
Thank you. Motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Taylor to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with SNR Technologies, the lowest responsible bidder for the water plant filter media at per unit price not to exceed $416 per bag. Super SAC estimated not to exceed $4,000 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor. Motion passed.
Motion is passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Turner, to authorize the mayor to execute agreement with Water Products Company in amount not to exceed 45,000, Mid-American Water, an amount of 7,000 respectively, the lowest responsible bidder for fire hydrant assemblies for 2020-2021 year. Any question to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera. Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion is passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mozio, Alderman Kirkwood, to authorize the mayor to execute agreement with the following vendors, the lowest responsible bidders for the product price not to exceed an amount as noted for 2020 and 2021 fiscal year. Caris Chemicals for potassium permagnate at $3.42 a pound, maximum of 11,000. The blended phosphate of 0.505 pounds, maximum of 25,000. Alexander Chemical for chlorine at $573 per ton, maximum of 26,000. Hydrofluoric acid at $450.60 per ton, maximum $88,000. Donahue Carbon for powder activated carbon at $1,411 per ton, a maximum $6,000. SNL Polydine for
SNF.
Correct. Thank you, Alderman. SNF Polydine for
Polymer coagulant.
Oh, goodness. Whatever that is.
Polymer coagulant.
All right, there it is. There it is, Alderman. Thank you. It's 64 cents a pound, maximum 13,000. And USA ALCO for aluminum sulfate at $3.37 and $337.05 dry ton, maximum 33,000. That was a mouthful. Any questions?
Sincerely.
Yeah. Any questions? Y'all don't have questions for this at all? It's not just kidding.
How do you say that word again?
I'm just kidding. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Rivera, to provide retroactive authorization to retain Campanella and Sons perform sanitary main improvements at 5650 Shadow Brook Court, 80 Buck Avenue for an amount invoiced at $51,457.44, and further to authorize a waiver of competitive bidding requirement pursuant to section 2-458, parentheses I, parentheses 2, bona fide emergency. Any questions to the motion? Alderman Taylor.
I just wanted to say that this project is, at least the Shadowbrook Court one, has already been done. And I think the mayor can also attest to this. This was something where they were doing routine work and then found that there was a massive leak underneath. And Campanella was able to come in. This was a pretty big hole that they dug. And I know, like I said, the mayor can attest to it. So I can't speak to the other area, but I can speak to that one. These had to be done. They were an emergency.
Alderman, actually, you won't believe this. I think Felix is about to explain this. Buck Court. Yes, go ahead, Felix. Buck
Yes.
Court. I think he trumps you. I think he trumps you, though, Alderman Taylor, really.
Did it?
Yeah, 80 Buck Avenue was definitely completed. It definitely was an emergency. I received a call, and it was a sanitary district sewer that had sort of dislodged itself because of all the rain and that was coming down, and some of the erosion that was occurring by the creek. So yeah, there was a tremendous odor permeating throughout the whole area. And
We didn't have that.
no, let me tell you, but these guys went down there, and kudos again to Mike and Dave and all those guys. They were just, tremendous.
And just for everyone to know where this really was, this was on the north side of Greenwood, way past the power lines, into a stormwater.
Yeah, stormwater, and it's some sort of an access road that they had to get through.
They had to create.
Yes.
Alderman Taylor, yours was bad, but I think he trumped you on this one.
Yeah, this one was.
And it was on the bluff, right, Felix? It was on the bluff.
Yes, it was on the bluff. Yeah, it was dangerous just getting to it.
Yeah, but it was both were horrible, just bad ones. But we were able to bring in, obviously, an outside contractor, so our guys would not take all of our public works employees to handle and to be honest, these was kind of going simultaneously, to be honest. Yeah. So this was well-needed emergency. Thank you. We want to say a huge kudos, Felix, for you, to the young lady who lives at, what's the address right there?
80 Buck.
80 Buck, yes. If it wasn't for her,
correct,
being attentive on that, this could have been a major disaster, similar to Washington Street, folks. So, but thank you very much. All right, enough of that. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Item J, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Seager, to adopt a resolution authorize participation in the ComEd Green Region Grant Program for the Urban Pollinator Conservation in Waukegan project. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Item K, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mozio, to approve 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan, 2020 Action Plan, and analysis of impediments for fair housing choice. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Bob, just so there's clarification here on item B, with the police station interior renovation, the original motion stands for next council meeting because the amended motion failed. Is that correct, Bob?
What we'll have to look at the different options offline, Mr. Mayor. We'll advise you and we'll bring something back for city council to consider next week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, item 10. I just wanted to make sure we as we leave here, we understand where we're at. All right, item 10, there being none. Closing items, Alderman's time. Madam Clerk.
Alderman Seager.
You know, I want to get my point out and across to all of you. It's up to us to protect our local businesses. I'm gonna push for this. We have been accused of not being business friendly. That's not so. We've got a man here that's had a business in this town a local contractor. And how wrong would we be not to put him to work and his people? That's totally wrong. We should stick by our local businesses and back them up 110%. Thank you.
Alderman Mosio.
A couple things. I certainly hope that everybody in Waukegan and throughout the country is shut off the last firework they have. I think all of us have gotten inundated with it, and it was. I thought it was just in Waukegan until I started looking around, and it was all. First, it's all over the county, and then it's all over the country, all over Chicago, and then I hear it's all over the country. So I certainly hope that that has stopped. Like you said, going forward, Mayor, we have to figure out some. I get it. Most people that I talk to understand the 4th of July, and if you shut it down at a reasonable point in time, but you know, going on for a month at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning is ridiculous. It's just not neighborly, like you said. But I know you were pulling on some people's heartstrings. I think we need to pull on their pocketbook. The only problem is it's very hard to catch some of them, and we just don't have enough police to cover all those calls. We just don't. Any alderman sitting, I should say, well, I'll say sitting up here understands when we get significant incident reports in the morning that, you know, although fireworks are dangerous and they're a nuisance and they're a quality of life issue, look at our significant incident reports, that they don't get to the top of the list. So that's a problem, and you know, we try to tell the constituents that things are like the hospital, it's triaged. You know, we have an armed robbery or a murder or, you know, God forbid a murder, that goes to the top of the line and fireworks gets pushed down. And that happens quite often at night. So going forward, we have to develop a strategy. And I'm sure that the chief and the police department can come up with something. Along those lines, there's been a movement, and there's even one here in Waukegan talking about taking the police, the SRO, which is called School Resource Officer, out of the schools. We only have 2. We have 1 at each campus. And they both do a great service, in my mind, to the city. The mayor will remember Joe Rakovich was our SRO in high school. Yeah. He formed bond with students that are, you know, lifelong. I mean, I still, you know, Joe Rakovich is still my guy. And I developed that relationship with him in high school as a high school student. And I'm sure it happens all over. I can't attest to Brookside as much as I can attest to Washington campus. And there's nobody else in the community that has this experience that I do. I'm a teacher at Washington campus, and I'm also an alderman, so I see the side of it as a city official and a side that's close to the police department. No one else has that, so anybody else that tells me anything different does not know what they're talking about. Brian Filatico has 20 to 30 mostly African-American students, boys and girls, that are in his office every day, all day, every period. Obviously not when they're in class, but rotating in and out of there. And the trust that those students have with Brian Filatico is unbelievable. Washington campus would not function very well without him. We would have far more problems. He knows how to deal with kids. He knows how to deal with the administration. I think this whole uproar in this country, and I don't want to boil it down to one word, but I think one thing that's very important with it is trust. People don't trust the police. Police don't trust the people that they serve sometimes, and that's a bad situation. And where else better to form that trust than with teenagers when they're in their teenage years with a policeman that they can trust. And Brian Filatico does that better than anybody I've seen in my 30 years at the high school. So any of this talk about not having him there, in my mind, would be a catastrophe. He gets more intel about stuff that's going to happen in the community from kids because they tell him things. And he's able to stop it. That might happen in our community. So I, for one, am going to fight vehemently about this. And I hope District 60 does not think that. Well, I've talked to some of the people in District 60 and I know they don't. The problems at District 60 at the high schools are not because of the Waukegan Police Department, far from it. They have far more pressing issues than whether or not what the SRO is doing. So we need to keep this bond. Now, is there some things that need to be maybe done a little bit better? Always. You're never going to be perfect, but you can always do things a little bit better to maybe help out. But I just don't understand where this comes from, especially Waukegan. I mean, other towns I can't comment on. I can't comment in Chicago, but I can comment on my situation because I see it every day, all day, because I'm in that office with those kids and those students and with Brian. So I just don't understand where anybody who is not in the school every day and doesn't see these kids every day and see what these guys do every day can say, no, we got to take them out of there. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why people think that they can comment on stuff that they don't have any idea about. So I hope going forward that we maintain that relationship. I think it's vital for this town. If not, be careful what you ask for, because if this relationship gets strained, you will have much more problem. Both the school and the community will have much more of a problem coming down the road dealing with juveniles and some of their behavior. Thank you.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have several things I want to go over. First of all, I think that the mayor has spoken well regarding the fireworks. I know that in the 4th Ward, we certainly had a joyous occasion for the last week, not just on the 4th of July, and hopefully we'll be considerate of our neighbors in the future. Also, I want to comment on, wearing our mask and social distancing. I think it's important that we continue to say that up front, our businesses, as well as we're out and about, that we continue to wear masks. And as leaders of the community, that we show that through our leadership. Also, garbage pickup is important that individuals in the 4th Ward, once garbage is picked up, you move your cans back into your area. Make sure that those items that have not been picked up because you did not take the proper procedures, those items are moved away from the parkway. Also, it's important that brush pickup, you need to make sure cars are not in that area to pick up the brush, because the claw cannot go over cars when you put the brush out. So it's important that you call also to let Public Works know that you have brush to be picked up. Also, it's important that for grass cutting, that those things are put in bags and also have the tags on it. Also, we want to remind everyone about the census. We still need to make sure that people fill out their census report, because once again, those are dollars. Also, we want to make sure we encourage people to shop in Waukegan. Those businesses are open. We want to continue to do that. Also, it's important that those roads that are being resurfaced throughout the city, that we look at the signs so that you don't drive through there and people are trying to work. I know that's happening in the 1st Ward, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wards I drove through today, and people are driving through, and Campanella and some of the other companies that are working in the city are trying to tell people not to come down that particular road, and they see that there's construction going on. So let's please adhere to that. Let's continue to be Waukegan strong and work together as a city. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Newsome.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We've talked about the fireworks, and they've had a joyous occasion in my area for the last month. It's been going on since the 1st of June. So, and it's a reason why these fireworks are illegal in the state of Illinois, because when they get in the wrong hands, they can be lethal. there was a fire in my ward, and there was some youth that had fireworks that they set off in the street. But they did do the proper thing, get them and pick them up and take them and throw them in a garbage can on the side of the house. And then about 30 minutes later, there's a fire on the side of the house, and it melted the side of the house, the siding. And they were not aware they were in the house. So it's important to monitor your children, to make sure that these fireworks don't get into the wrong hands. There's a reason why they are illegal if they're not used properly. So I just wanted to stress that. And then we're talking about garbage. I had my 5th Ward Operation Clean Sweep last week, and it was a good success. We had many people that came. They had several car loads that they brought to get disposed of. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Hewitt, Pat Needham, Tori Worship, and Damian Washington. Those were the gentlemen that were on hand to help empty the cars out and to help the residents dispose of their items. I will be setting up another one sometime in the near future because I got some feedback that they wanted it on a Saturday because some people work during those hours during the week and they're not able to get over there. So I will try to do one on a Saturday, but please make note or take note that it will be a less time span because I think the hours are between 7 and 11 because the dumpster has to be back to advanced landfill before noon. So I will be setting something up and then I'll get that word out. Also, I got some feedback during comments regarding the Operation Clean Sweep with garbage in different areas, particularly apartment areas. And they were wondering why the city wasn't taking care of those areas. Well, there's private property and you're responsible for maintaining your own property, just like a homeowner. Apartment owners, that's their business. And they're responsible for making sure that they have some kind of management or manager on site that comes and takes care of their property just as well as some of the businesses. And I know some of the businesses may think that we're trying to pick on them or whatever, but everyone in those apartment units deserve to live in a clean area. I understand that people drop things on the ground. Everybody drops things on the ground. Some people take the time to pick them up and some people don't. Some people dump and then some people don't dump. But if you have a business, you have someone coming behind people all the time and they're picking up, just like if someone throws something down on the ground in my yard, I pick it up. Doesn't matter if I threw it down there or not. And that's the feedback we get all the time from the landlords that I don't know if my residents did it or whatever, but just like my mom used to say, when we were growing up, 1 of 11 and something happened and they asked who did it and nobody said, no, I didn't do it, everybody would get it. So she'd make sure she got the right one. So, so I've talked to the building commissioner and we're gonna start issuing some letters to apartment owners, managers. If you need to pay someone to come and take care of your property every other day or an apartment, or if you have somebody that lives there that you can work with to clean up your property, you need to utilize that because we're going to start sending out some letters to the owners because this has been going on for so long. They may pick up 1 day or 2 days or 3 days and then they fall back into the same thing that they don't keep it going. So I've talked with Mike Patel and we can start issuing some letters to the apartment owners. And then if they don't follow suit, then they'll start getting some citations. I know the courts have been closed during the COVID, so there's not been any adjudication court, but I believe they're supposed to start up again in August. So we're gonna be enforcing this thing where you clean up your properties, and I'm all for it. And I think that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman Turner.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Excuse me. So in the 6th Ward, you know, again, with the neighborhood cleanliness, I was out there today and yesterday, and, you know, there was an extraordinary amount of debris left over from all of the fireworks. In one spot over on Woodlawn, it was almost 2 feet of leftover tubes and cartons that you could just see the sheer volume from that one location. And I saw it numerous times throughout the ward. The comments that I heard from many of my neighbors was that it sounded like a war zone, that they've never heard or experienced anything like that before. And I will attest that I never heard anything like it. The fireworks went on constantly, nonstop for over 2 hours. I engaged 6 of my neighbors who were shooting fireworks off. I got the cops to cite one of them, but I got overwhelmed trying to find out who's shooting doing the fireworks. And the cops, the police were overwhelmed. They could not keep up with the sheer volume in the 6th Ward, let alone, I mean, it's across the entire city. We know that, right? So, and the reason for that, the reason they couldn't keep up and they were overwhelmed, we were all overwhelmed and we were all taken back, we were caught by surprise because we don't have the manpower to enforce. Just as was indicated when I asked the questions about cleaning up the beach, is Public Works going to do it? No, they don't have the manpower. And so knowing that we are in the situation we are with the resource restrictions within the police department, we have to come up with some other solution or a creative solution for our policing, right? And I was thinking about this, and what I thought about, you know, to my awareness, and I may be wrong, and I, you know, appreciate any correction from if there's a member of the police department that's on the call as well, on the meeting as well. But my understanding is that the patrol officers are out there responding to calls, and these guys are working double shifts and, you know, 12 and 18-hour shifts. They're putting in a lot of work, but they're the only ones working. They're the only ones responding to the fireworks calls and their normal call runs, right? So what I would suggest is we consider maybe next year, and we can use the 6th Ward as a pilot, proof of concept, right? We let the patrol guys do patrol, and we put every other sworn officer, including lieutenants, commanders, deputy chiefs, and the chief, put them in plainclothes cars and have them stage and work the area. And we have, if again, I may be mistaken, but we've got 2 drones. You can float a drone up there and you can pinpoint some, especially some of these larger incidents where they're shooting off, you know, numerous fireworks. They were doing professional grade, the same stuff that we shoot down or that they launched down at the lakefront for our fireworks show. Some of these people were launching the same stuff, and what sounded like quarter and maybe half sticks of dynamite, which I understand you can legally purchase in Tennessee. That's our next door neighboring state to the south. So I think we need to look at this and not just say, well, it happened and we'll do better next time. We need to come up with a creative way of policing and enforcement, right? And this is the problem that we suffer with here in Waukegan across so many venues of quality of life issues. You think about the number of calls and we get about speeding cars on our side streets. Again, lack of enforcement. We don't have the manpower, right? You don't see cops sitting and running radar traps for speeding cars, say on Glen Floor, as a rule, right? There'll be targeted enforcement for a limited amount of time. We've got 2 traffic officers for the entire city. So we need to get creative in how we are going to enforce our ordinances. And another thing before I move on, I would also suggest, if possible, maybe Bob can answer this, we increase the fine for these fireworks and make it something significant, like $1,000 fine and 60 days in jail or something of that nature. I think now it might be $250 max, $250 max fine and 30 days incarceration. But we need to come up with a hefty penalty to get people's attention and get their compliance with these safety violations. All right, thank you very much for that. Also, I have a tentative date for a what we call a dumpster drop that Alderman Newsom spoke to in her ward. I'm going to try and get one out there Wednesday, July 22nd. Not certain on the hours and I'm not certain of the date, but stand by patients if that comes to fruition. I think that's all I have for now. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Alderman Rivera.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I think everyone has a comment regarding the fireworks as we started earlier. But the one thing that Alderman Turner indicated, which I wholeheartedly believe, is all of a sudden, we have professional grade fireworks. It's not just the, very simple stuff that's out there. It's the very dangerous stuff that's out there. And we have to get ahead of it next year, learn what we learned this year, but again, gather those learnings and apply them next year. And I believe if we hit it early, we can have some sort of control. Secondly, I'd like to address a posting that was done at the Lake County Health Department site. And I'm going to read just a little bit of this. It indicates that as of June 26, Lake County entered phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan, which means that most businesses will be able to open following state safety guidelines. Gatherings of 50 people or fewer will be permitted while social distancing and wearing face coverings. Restaurants and bars will be able to reopen with capacity limits and safety measures. Non-essential travel can resume, and childcare and schools can reopen under guidelines from the Illinois Department of Public Health. And just to remind everyone, be very mindful, wear a mask. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I want to thank the mayor for restoring the committees. I know it wasn't an easy thing to do with this virtual meeting that we're doing, but I appreciate that we are, again, having our committees meet. I think that's an important thing. I won't belabor the fireworks comments, although I will just say, based on what I'm hearing, I think the mayor and the police chief should work on some kind of creative solution for next year. As everyone has said, knowing what we know now, just to anticipate for next year, to maybe keep the control a little bit better for next year. I wanted to talk about, I got an email from someone connected to the Small Business Association, and businesses of all sizes and nonprofit organizations impacted by the civil unrest that occurred in late May and early June can apply for low interest disaster loans to cover their uncompensated physical losses. Some small businesses and most nonprofits can also apply for economic injury. So there's low interest rate loans and excellent terms on these loans. And the Small Business Association has a staff that can help you work through the process. So there's phone numbers and emails that are available. The email address is FOCE in capital letters, FOCE-help@sba.gov. And the phone number is 571-422-6016. I believe the mayor also got this information. So I hope that if anybody has any questions, they can call me or call the mayor's office. But it sounds like a great program for the people that were impacted by these damages from the civil unrest that occurred. And lastly, I wanted to just read, referring to what we talked about earlier, about the temperature screening. This is from the WHO, the World Health Organization. Temperature screening alone at exit or entry is not an effective way to stop spread of COVID. Since infected individuals may be in an incubation period, may not express any apparent symptoms early or in the course of the disease, or they may dissimulate fever through the use of antipyretics. In other words, they may just suppress the fever from using Tylenol or Advil or whatever. In addition, such measures require substantial investments for what may bear little benefits. It is more effective to provide prevention recommendation messages and to collect health declarations with information and allow for proper risk assessment and possible contact tracing. So I just wanted to put that out there. It wasn't just my, interpretation that taking temperatures is not going to be an effective way to know for sure that we're not spreading the disease. But thank you.
Alderman Taylor.
I first want to start off by saying that the 9th Ward will have its first cleanup on Wednesday, July 15th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. over on McGaw Road by the Fire Station 2. In August, we'll have a second one on the east side of the ward, and I'm still securing a location for that. So this one will be for the west side, and then we'll have another one later, but you can go to either one of them in the 9th Ward. I want to talk a little bit about garage sales. I'm seeing a lot of this sprout up again in the 9th Ward where people are selling new merchandise and using it as quote unquote a garage sale. They've done it before. Now I've got neighbors calling and saying, I want to do it too. Garage sales, you can have up to 3 of them. These are not garage sales, and we need to start enforcing them. It's just like with the fireworks. Once this gets rolling and it's not enforced, everybody wants to do it. But a garage sale is your items that, not new items that you're trying to sell. So there is a distinction, and I want to make sure that we get on this pretty fast because it's starting to spread like wildfire through the 9th Ward, and I'm sure other aldermen are having the same issue. As far as the fireworks go, listening to Facebook, it sounds like that's where a lot of people spent their stimulus checks because some of these people spent $9,000 to $12,000 on fireworks. So again, hopefully next year with no stimulus checks, we won't have this problem. But what I did see in particular on Facebook is large gatherings in the street, including children, with no masks. And everybody is under this theory, well, I'm outside, I don't need a mask. If you are outside and not social distancing, you still have a problem. If you listen to the new CDC guidelines today, they're saying that it can spread as far as 20 feet. So they are now recommending face masks for outside when you are not social distancing. I'm hoping that we don't see a spike in COVID cases in 2 more weeks. But I want to remind people, we're starting to see events. There was a car show in my ward yesterday. I happened to stop by, no masks, did not see one person with a mask. We need to make sure whether you're inside or outside, except for when you're eating, you need to have a mask on. Like I said, that I think all the aldermen in this city have had massive phone calls over the fireworks. They're done, but we need to enforce these. If we don't start issuing citations, it's not going to stop, folks. So hopefully we'll come up with a plan for next year. And like I said, hopefully no stimulus checks that get spent on fireworks. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Just want to let everybody know we received some information today in reference to 2 people within our community. And it's Reverend, I think it's Reverend Eileen Shanley Roberts and Mr. Leroy Presley. As everybody know, Eileen Shanley Roberts was the pastor at a local church here. She lost her daughter over the last week or so. So we certainly want to send our prayers to her. And as all of you remember, Mr. Leroy Presley spent 49 years as he was on the front page of the Waukegan News Sun, 49 years as a mail carrier, postal office worker for the city of Waukegan. He was an avid softball player, well-known throughout Waukegan, North Chicago. He lost his battle to cancer after retiring after 49 years of service for the United States government as a postal carrier. So on behalf of myself, all of you, I trust in the citizens of this community. We send our condolences and our prayers and thoughts to those families. The last one, at least, Alderman Mozio, I'm going on the record here. I concur with that, that not having these officers in our schools is just not acceptable. And what we do want to do, though, is work with the school board and the school district on how we can better those relationships and make sure we utilize the resources at the Waukegan PD to help out their security force at the school district. I think that's the best way. And I'm almost certain that's going to be there. But I, as the mayor, going on record, we just cannot have that. They play a major role in our lives. As you say, Joe Rakovich was us. Former Mayor Motley was some. We talk about Officer Taylor was many. So there's a history of having those resource officers within our public school districts. If I had my choice, we would even start at the middle schools, Alderman Mosio, and then bring them to the high school like it used to be when we went to school. With that being said, thank you again, everybody. I still can't wait to see all of you up here. We're still moving forward, trying to get that done. But we ourselves have to practice the social distancing. Obviously, it was in the best interest of all of our health. With that being said, I'm going to make motion by Alderman Seeger, second by Alderman Rivera to adjourn. All those in favor?
No. Aye.
Aye.
There's no no. There's not a no. Hold on.
Aye.
We got a roll call, don't we?
Roll call.
We got a roll call. I'm sorry. We need roll call. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Oh.
Alderman Mosio.
He left.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Out the back door.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Yes.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
You have a quorum.
Okay, the quorum is there. Motion's passed and carried. Talk to everybody later.
Good night. Thanks.
Good
Mayor.
night.
Mayor.
Good night.
Thank you, Madam
Bye-bye.
Clerk.
Good night.
Good night.